to call the Tuesday, May 14th meeting of the Coastside County Water District Board of Directors. Joanne, could you please call roll?
Of course. Director Larimer is not here yet. Vice President Michelson?
Yes.
Director Feldman?
Here.
Director Reynolds?
Yep.
President Coverdale?
Here. Could you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
Ah,
All right. Can you redo the roll, please? No, I'm just kidding. Please show in the minutes that Director Larimer is here. Welcome.
All right.
So consent calendar, are there any items that any of the directors would like to pull from the consent calendar?
No, not
For me.
I reviewed the financial statements and petty cash and the credit card statement, and I found them all to be in order. So do I have a motion on the consent calendar?
I'll make a motion for the consent calendar.
I'll second that.
It's been moved by Director Reynolds, seconded by Vice President Michelson, that we approve the consent calendar as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry. Roll call, please, Joanne.
That's okay. You can do it that way.
Okay. Did you hear 5 ayes?
Yeah.
Good. Meetings attended and director comments, are there any? Yes.
Yes, I got one. I had the opportunity to attend a day of sessions at Aqua, which was held at Monterey last Wednesday, I believe. You'll hear more about one of the items from Mary a little later in her general manager's report. Okay, so I managed to get to 5 sessions during the day there.
Wow.
And one was at the breakfast, which was, the presenter was Joaquin Esquivel, who's the chair of the Water Resources Control Board, the new chair, appointed by Governor Newsom, who's laid out some of his programs and some of his determination to make some changes to things that the governor is interested in. But he seemed like a young and aggressive individual. He graduated from school about 10 years ago, I think. So he's quite young and looks like he's got a lot of energy, and I think there'll be more to hear from him, and I think he'll set some new tone for the Water Resources Control Board going forward. There was a water rates and trends discussion, which was really not much different than we've seen in the past, at least that I have. And our consultant, Raftelis, was there. The gentleman from Raftelis was Sanjay Gaur. And everybody's still fighting the same issues that they always were and will be in terms of how to set equitable water rates and to make sure that they're taking into account the future of water. So it's, again, an ongoing topic that everybody hears about every session. And then the next speaker at lunch was a gentleman by the name of Jared Blumenthal. And he was sort of interesting. He was the new Secretary of Environmental Issues for the state under Newsom. And he's going to try and establish a set of policies and procedures so people understand what the requirements are for good environmental control and policy for us. So we're hearing a lot more. I think he was quite a dynamic, I think, an animated speaker. Mary saw him too, and I think kept the audience's attention and seemed to be willing to say things like they were as far as what his views are of the future and the things that need to be done. So I'm not going to get into too much detail, except that was one of the better sessions I've seen at an Aqua luncheon in the recent past. And then there was a cannabis session where they were demonstrating cannabis and letting everybody have a sample. No, that's not true. They were talking about how to control and regulate water use and how to control and regulate the growth of cannabis without polluting water, without causing all kinds of problems, and what are the basic things that have to be considered in setting good policy and procedure for cannabis growth. We here in Half Moon Bay do not have yet any operating cannabis starters going forward, except there's some interest in one. So we don't really have this issue, but they were saying there's a lot of little ins and outs about using water to water cannabis and how you do it and what the requirements are, et cetera. So I'd say it was interesting, if nothing more than to learn a bit about what cannabis needs to prosper. Yes, sir.
Well, I can put a number on it. Some people I know. A twelfth of a gallon per square foot of greenhouse space is the water requirement for cannabis.
Right.
So extrapolating that out, yeah, they could potentially be big
Right.
customers.
So, and how you do it and what the kind of environment that you grow it in, these are all going to be regulated to some degree. And it's not easy. You've got to go through permitting out the, a lot of permitting, let's put it that way, both locally and then statewide, and then the feds, of course, are still not approving this. So we'll see what happens. I think that our first entry may be if they do get permission to starter buds here in Half Moon Bay at some point going forward. And so that was interesting. It's certainly, they're going to have more rules and regulations about this than they have about many other things that are being done with water before they ever get to the other ones. That's what we learned about. This is going to be more controlled and set a standard for controlling other things that there are now no controls for. Finally, there was a cannabis legislative roundup which talked about the key issues and bills on the floor in the legislature. And the one that I'm going to just mention here is SB 669, which is the Safe Drinking Water Trust Act. And I have a little bookmark for anybody who wants it. I'll pass it around. There were bookmarks on every table at every session and all of the luncheons and breakfasts, so people would get this in their hand. ACT was sponsoring this with some of the, well, they're supporting the sponsorship in the Senate, which is to create a trust from money that's excess funds that are in the general fund that can be transferred into this trust. And the principal from that trust will generate interest, which can then be paid to provide water to the 300 communities who have no good, safe drinking water. That's the real proper answer to this issue, and there was a good deal of emphasis on that in all of the handouts, and Mary will tell a lot more about what that means and why we should be very supportive of that as the best approach for water tax alternate. Okay, that was what I did.
Anybody else?
No, nothing.
Okay, moving right along. Item 6A, award of contract for Ferdinand Avenue Water Main Replacement Project. And please take it away.
Good evening, board members. This is for replacing some water main that goes from Carmel Avenue to Ferdinand, about 1,500 feet. This is replacing some 50-year-old 4-inch welded steel pipe. It also eliminates an exposed creek crossing in Deer Creek, which is a nice thing to get rid of. When we went out to bid, the lowest bid was California Trenchless Incorporated at $502,850. The engineer's estimate was $705, and we budgeted $510 for the project. So we're requesting you authorize the general manager to enter into a contract with California Trenchless Inc., the amount of $502,850. We did a little background check on them. They're pretty busy over the hill and have heard good things about them.
Is this the first time for them to come over here?
First time we've worked with them.
Okay.
But apparently they're very busy over in the Bay Area in Robinson Brunswick. They have lots of ongoing projects. And we did a reference check on them, and they came out good with lots of other projects of similar sizes, if not bigger. And on the next page, you'll see an image of which pipes will be replaced and how we're going to go about that.
And who was the engineer that estimated 705?
That was EKI,
Oh.
and EKI has reviewed the bids as well.
Let's slow them down on their estimates a little bit here. Well, they're off.
No, they're off by a lot. I mean, I like Teeter's estimates. Teeter was good.
Yeah, he was right, spot on. I mean,
Yeah.
They're off by $200,000.
Yeah, that's a pretty big
It's
factor
pretty
there.
A
significant.
little bit, but
So it
we
seems
got
a
a
little
bid from
higher than-
Andrini of 643.
I'm encouraged to see a new player, and a new player come in low. This, especially in this environment, in this economy. I'm real excited to bring somebody new, and it kind of puts the other guys on notice that,
Right.
there's another player in town, and that's kind of the way the free market's supposed to work, and we're the beneficiaries here, and we're under $400 a foot. We're down to like $335, so this is real money to us. So no, thank you for reaching out to new players and keeping the other guys honest. I think it's great.
And it says trenchless, but
Yeah, is that
is
They'll be
this a
trenching.
boring project? Or they're
Yeah.
actually so they do know how to trench, we're sure of that, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay,
I've
good.
confirmed they know how to do a trench as well as trenchless.
I'm just curious.
Sure. Good question.
Any motion on this award of contract?
I'll make a motion to accept the contract.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we award the contract for the Ferdinand Pipeline Replacement, Water Main Replacement Project for $502,850 to California Trenchless, Inc. Would you please
You're
call?
authorizing the general manager to enter into that contract
Oh,
agreement?
yes, please.
Director
Could you
Larmer?
call roll?
Yes,
Thank you.
Director Larmer?
Yes.
Vice President Michelson?
Yes.
Director Feldman?
Yes.
Director Reynolds?
Yes.
President Coverdell?
Enthusiastically, thank you very much.
I'm going to stay here because I got another project.
Okay,
Guys.
and so item B is award of contract for Casa del Mar and Grand Boulevard PRV project.
Was there,
This-
I'm sorry, I meant to ask on the, was your timing on that one in terms of once awarded, how long did they schedule to do this?
After we get the contract stuff, 30 to 40 days probably,
No, it's okay, it's a start.
from today,
Okay, so it's a,
once we issue a notice to
Pretty- okay,
proceed. So
okay.
within the month, they'll be started.
oh, great. Yeah, just thinking about capital expenditures.
Of course.
Get it done before June.
I'm shocked.
Oh, yeah, good point, good point.
Trying to get into this year. It's fun. Go ahead, sorry.
Sorry, we keep yakking up here. but I
It's
confuse
okay,
myself.
that's okay. This is another project which actually combines a couple of our CIP projects for connecting Grand into the neighborhood behind Strathflower Shopping Center. There's a little stub of pipe there. It's going to add a PRV so that we have some redundancy there. If you look at the image on the next page, you'll see in the small lower image, you see the yellow line. There's an existing stub out off of Highway 1 pipeline that will connect to Grand. We're going to put a PRV station there so that we're at the same pressure zone, and that will create some redundancy in the neighborhood if we have a main break. It's also going to replace a few gate valves in the event that we do have main breaks to restore service and minimize the shutdown. This also includes a couple of PRVs that we came up with as a strategy to postpone the Casa del Mar main replacement that we were estimating might be in the range of $3 million. So we have pressures down there about 130 pounds on the pipe. And if we put the PRV stations in there, we can drop that down to about 80 and hopefully preserve some, extend the lifetime of these pipelines and postpone the replacement of all the pipes in the neighborhood. So this is for 3 PRV stations, 475 feet of 8-inch main, 120 feet of new 6-inch, and reconnecting some residential services. We only had 2 bids on this, Stolowski and Gonzalez and Andrini Brothers. Stolowski came in at $563,634 is the low bid, and the engineer's estimate was $680,300, and we budgeted $600 for these 2 projects combined. So we're requesting you authorize the general manager to enter an agreement with Stolowski and Gonzalez for $563,634. And if you have any questions, I'm here at your pleasure.
Well, same comment on the engineer's estimate.
Yeah, slow that guy down.
They don't know what the bidders don't know what the estimate was.
I don't think we published that. Some agencies publish that
Do
in
they
their
publish
bid
their
documents. I don't think
engineers'
we
estimate?
Do we?
It's
Oh, yes, we
It's
do.
usually published.
Oh, good, okay, well,
They're bidding against each other, so.
okay, no, I just wondered if they know okay. The same question about timing to do this.
About the same? Two
Okay, because they're in
different contractors.
parallel. It's 2 different people doing this, so there's
The
no.
PRV stations take a while. They're about
Yeah.
8 to 12 weeks out to have them constructed.
But-
They come as one unit
Yeah,
and drop in.
okay. But they're gonna be working them parallel, because there's
Mhm.
2 different contractors, isn't it?
Yes.
Which is also good.
We're going to get started before the end of the fiscal year.
Okay, great.
I'll make a motion to authorize the general manager to engage in the contract.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Director Reynolds and seconded by Director Larmer that we authorize the general manager to enter into a contractual agreement with Stolowski and Gonzalez, Inc. for $563,634 to install 3 new pressure-reducing valve stations, installing approximately 475 feet of new 8-inch ductile iron pipeline, installing approximately 120 feet of new 6-inch ductile iron pipeline, reconnecting 7 residential services, installing valves, and I don't say this word very well,
Appurtenances.
appurtenances, and repaving.
That's why we're a team.
Made by Motion.
Could you call roll, please?
Director Larmer?
Yes.
Vice President Michelson?
Yes.
Director Feldman?
Yes.
Director
Ordinances.
Reynolds?
Yes.
President Coverdale?
Yes,
Thank you.
enthusiastically. Item C, thank you very much for your report.
Okay.
Appreciate it, Jane. Item C, review of notice of increase in water rates effective July 1, 2019. Review of the fiscal year 2019-2020 operations budget and fiscal year 2018-2019 to fiscal year 2027-28 capital improvement program, both which were approved on June 28, 2018. Will you be taking this away, or will Mary be taking this away? Mary,
Oh, Mary's probably has a PowerPoint. Let me
No
guess.
PowerPoint.
she's afraid to bring it back.
Yeah,
Okay. But last year, in June 2018, we approved 2 rate increases.
Yeah.
One, a 2.3% rate increase effective July 1st, 2018, and then we also approved a 4% rate increase effective for, to be effective July 1st, 2019. So Prop 218 requires us to send out a 30-day, a notice 30 days in advance to our customers indicating what the rate increase will be. I have attached in my staff report the notice that we're planning to send out. We are also including on the back of it some pictures similar to what we did last year. So now, the rate increase is, the rate increases, they were based on the budgets that we put together last year. So we put together a 2-year operations and maintenance budget. We also then, had our 10-year CIP. We met in April. We met with the facilities committee and went through our CIP. And we also met with the finance committee to, just go through our operations and maintenance budget and our CIP. So from just the operations and maintenance budget, I actually did kind of a recalculation of where we're at with, now that we know what salary increases will be and understanding, taking another look at how we're going to budget water and various things. And we're pretty much, we're pretty much right on to what we budgeted last year. So I feel, pretty confident that our budget, from 2019 is, is representative of what we'll spend. We also, we looked at our CIP, and actually we've been working with EKI and trying to come up with a project plan and timing of when we're going to do projects. So that work is still in process. We feel that the bottom line numbers that are represented in last year's CIP, I think in general, we're going to be spending that money. The big issue is timing. We haven't we haven't spent about 1.8 million this year, but we feel that that's going to be spent given our the projects that we have in the pipeline, so to speak. And also, we have a number of tank projects and various things, but so we'll be discussing some of those timing issues that as we move forward in future months. But at this point, we feel that our the rate increases, the rate increase that's coming up as the 4% will keep us on track for being able to self-fund our CIP and also to move our reserve balances up.
Input,
Any
comments?
questions?
So, to summarize, the work we did in 2018 with our cost of service analysis and our rate study, from which we built a 2-year budget for the first time in, I think, some long time, has at this point been seen to be very accurate and appropriate for both our level of expenditure last year and our planned level of expenditure next year, this coming year. And so we feel very good and strong about the fact that what we proposed is really right on the mark, and that we have a good budget, and that we did good work in trying to make it happen for 2 years in a row, so that our customers were at least aware of what the future held for them. So we can say that that was a good deal. We did a good job in making that effort and bringing that information to bear and coming up with this approach. Is that a fair summary?
It's an amazing summary.
I think we should have really put that in writing.
That's exactly how we'd put it if only we could have said it so well.
Good thing it's recorded.
Did you say that again?
Let's make it a motion. I think it's great, and I think it's wonderful to not have to go through the process of the, the re-announcing and the frustrations and all that sort of stuff. And
And the PowerPoint?
yeah, no, we love the PowerPoint. Once or twice, the third or
Good
fourth time,
strategy.
it's a little questionable.
Last year was tough.
But I hope we're able to do similar work next year as we look forward on the budgeting. And, what I was pleased to look at is, I really appreciate the fact that the capital improvement program had adequate sums of money for the two projects, the two contracts that we've just awarded. And both of those projects came in below what we had, and I think that's sometimes rare. I think oftentimes it runs a little over, they're a little bit higher or something. So I just feel like it's, the budgeting job that's being done, the CIP planning that's being done is really top notch. And I really appreciate that, because I think it's very difficult with so many facilities and lineal feet of pipe. And, we just have a really complicated system. It's not like your old standard plug-in hybrid, It's really complex. Got to get the chipmunks running at the same time as the gas engine. So I just think it's a great job, really marvelous job.
Thank you.
And no surprises to our customers. That true to our word of last year. That's awesome, because they're budgeting too. And so we gave them a real number. And it held. 12 months later, it's holding. That's awesome.
Well, we talked about it for 10 years, right? Having that approach. And then it finally got brought to the top. It's great. Congratulations. You got to be really proud of it. And it's informational only, so we can move right on to a very important item. It's been proposed that we cancel the October 8th regular meeting of the Board of Directors, schedule a special Board of Directors meeting for Tuesday, October 15th, beginning at 7 o'clock. And I, for one, think it's a great idea.
Yeah, it's my daughter's birthday, so it's perfect.
Oh, really? How old was she?
26.
Oh, my gosh, that makes you really old. So, but we'll need a motion for this.
I can make a motion to.
He's doing yeoman.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. I second the motion.
All right, I make a motion that we cancel the October 8th, 2019 regular meeting of the Board of Directors and schedule a special Board of Directors meeting. Is it still special if we schedule it?
Yes,
Yeah,
not the normal.
And we
everything you
schedule-
do is special, actually.
We schedule a special Board of Directors meeting for Tuesday, October 15th, 2019, beginning at 7 p.m.
I second it.
Could I amend the motion to also wish Vice President Michelson's daughter a happy birthday on that
thank you.
particular?
Front page of the newspaper, I think. She won't be embarrassed at all.
So it's been moved that we cancel this meeting, and it's been by Director Reynolds, seconded by Director.
And I've already got it on
Fine.
my calendar.
Oh, cool. Great
I
job.
cheated. I put it
Roll
on
call,
there.
please.
Yes, Director
Yes.
Romer, Vice President Michelson.
Yes.
Director Feldman.
Yes.
Director Reynolds. President Coverdell.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Item E, professional services agreement with Balance Hydrologics, Inc. for evaluation of alternative means of diversion on Denniston Creek. I'm assuming that you're going to take it away, or will
Yes,
this
I
be?
get one item tonight, so this is it.
Okay, well, we don't want to work you too hard. We know it's gonna,
Winding down.
slowing you down.
Yeah.
Are you gonna do it in Italian?
We have included in our Denniston San Vicente Water Supply Development Project the aspirational, I guess I'd call it that, the aspirational goal of restoring the volume of Denniston Reservoir. If you look at the old pictures of Denniston Reservoir, it's actually a lake. Now it's just a little pond, which we struggle to keep open with our permit to remove about 400 cubic yards of sediment a year. Because of the nature of the rock in the watershed, it's all decomposed granite. The sediment transport down Denniston Creek is huge, and now we've measured it using balanced hydrologics measurements. So we know that even if we can get through all of the resource negotiations and habitat maintenance negotiations that would be associated with dredging Denniston Reservoir, that the ongoing maintenance of the volume we'd be able to restore will continue to be a real challenge. So we started talking to Balance about alternative ways of diverting from Denniston Creek, and one alternative way is similar to the wells we have on Upper Pillar Cedos, which are shallow wells. They're diversion points on the creek. We call them wells, but they're really diversion of surface water. Using shallow wells, or what's called a Ranney collector, which is it's sort of like a French drain, to divert water from Denniston Creek would have a lot of advantages for us. It would relieve the problem, significantly relieve the problem of keeping the reservoir free of sediment. It would avoid the disruption of endangered species habitat that dredging the reservoir would inevitably cause. So we think it's a good idea to explore it. Balance Hydrologics has worked on this for some other agencies. This is a preliminary exploration of the feasibility of creating such a diversion on Denniston Creek. So they have proposed a scope that would look at some of the specifics of that. If it looks feasible, I think we would explore it and evaluate it more seriously as an alternative to trying to restore the volume of Denniston Reservoir. The reason one of the big reasons the volume is important to us is it gives the water coming down the creek, which has all the sediment in it, a chance to settle and clear a little bit before it gets to our intake. So this, it seems like, at least in our imaginations at the moment, it seems like this would be a very good solution to be able to pump basically clear water from the alluvium under the creek rather than trying to dredge hundreds of cubic yards every year. Really, we're not keeping up with 400 cubic yards a year, and we always have the habitat issue. We always have to have our biologist with his binoculars out there literally riding the excavator, looking at every bucket to make sure there's not a frog in front of the excavator bucket who's going to get injured or scared. The prospect that we could avoid that in the future is really pretty attractive for us, and this would give us a chance to take a look at that.
I've done a couple of these, and I gotta say, I really love them. We got lower turbidity levels. We could use the water for a greater duration. We had less interface with fish and game. I think the world of these.
You just answered my questions. Lower turbidity, 'cause we missed a lot of, we're not going to make last year's production numbers at Denison. It doesn't look like.
Well, I don't know, I gotta put in a plug for our.
Yeah, no, I know it's
Here.
running high, I know, but
Yeah,
I
these
think we're
guys
kind
have
of,
been-
Well, as last month.
yeah,
I'll
we're
tell you.
we're running out of,
900 today, right?
Humping, yeah.
Yeah.
but we're running out of days in the fiscal year. I know we're playing a really awesome game of catch-up at
Right.
900 gallons a
We don't
minute.
have a week
Um,
left.
But boy, imagine if we had less lost days to turbidity. That's huge. This is huge. So we could really stop dredging? Or would we have to still minimally dredge, or could we just,
I don't think we would ever stop. I
because
think
again,
we could.
because we did stop at one time and
Right.
regaining that
And
permit
we
was
do
hard.
we share the reservoir in a significant way with the ag land, with Dave
Sure.
Leah.
Wow.
So he depends on us to dredge the reservoir, and we always, it would always be good to be able to divert water from the reservoir. And we don't anticipate that we would change the existing pump station on the reservoir. These, if we did this kind of approach, these would probably have some low head pumps that would pump water into the existing pump station, which has the high head pumps that move the water through the plant. And also would be ultimately the collection point for water from San Vicente as well. So,
Well, San Vicente, that's music to everybody's ears here.
so,
I was thinking, it said San
so
Vicente in this.
to answer that
Caught my
question,
attention.
we think it would not totally eliminate the need to maintain some pool in the reservoir.
Right.
Yeah, with less
As-
lost
as-
days. is
Kind of as we
huge,
do
so-
now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Biologists need work, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Jim?
So I'm just curious, would this have any impact on Leah's ability to use that reservoir?
Well, we don't have a formal operating agreement with Dave Leah, but he definitely, and if we didn't dredge the reservoir, if we didn't need to remove the sediment, he would probably have to do it. He'd probably have to do that in order to maintain the ability to pump water out at that diversion.
You know, it's a shame because I have a photograph that was, I guess, taken about 50 years ago
Right.
of that reservoir, and you kind of wonder if the endangered species didn't have a better habitat when it was larger. Certainly, the perimeter was much bigger in the past than it is today. And it's really a shame that, that can't be restored in some way that preserves the unique species that live there and perhaps even improve the habitat for them.
I think the district did that once, but that was before we were in the middle of a national park. So I think it's appropriate to predict that the challenges of the dredging project will be significant. Because there are just more stakeholders, more regulation, more concern with habitat and endangered species. So this might be a win, this could be if done right, it could be a win for everybody because that reservoir is great habitat and could be preserved in a more natural state than it would be if we were to try to dredge it. The amount of water that we can divert, in theory, should be the same. That's kind of a different issue, bypass flows.
So in the 50s, they would open the sluice gate and then all that sediment would flush out in the rains?
We've heard things like that. None of us has observed it. And those facilities don't exist on the dam anymore. They're not operable anymore.
We good?
We have a motion or something.
I'll make a motion that we authorize the general manager to enter into a professional services agreement with Balance Hydraulics Incorporated to evaluate potential alternative means of diversion on Denniston Creek at Denniston Reservoir for a one-time and materials cost not to exceed $46,000.
I'll second.
What a relief. It's been moved by Director Reynolds and seconded by Director Larimer that we,
Ready for a roll call vote?
please.
Director Larimer?
Yes.
Vice President Michelson?
Yes.
Director Feldman?
Yes.
Director Reynolds?
Yes.
President Coverdale?
Yes, thank you very much. And now we'll move on to the monthly reports. I was actually kind of thinking we would start with item C, if everyone would agree to that, because Kathleen's always the last one, and I just thought it'd just
I'm
be
in.
so nice. Would you guys agree to?
I'll say aye.
Could we convert that? And Kathleen, we'd like to hear your report first in these monthly reports, because we never get to.
Okay.
And I want to be sure that you have our
But
most.
but are you going to be
Our most
rushing, or
focus.
maybe
Well,
she's still?
did you need more prep time?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for asking, though, I appreciate it.
Thank you for cooperating.
Did we wake you?
Did I? No. So my report's on the Urban Water Management Plan. It is that time to start our preparations and planning for our 2020 Urban Water Management Plan. It's on a 5-year cycle. And we're starting off in a regional effort with Bosca. We've done this at least the last 2 cycles of Urban Water Management Plan, where we, as a region, develop our conservation and water demand model and numbers. And then usually, we do it as a region and set everything up, and then we'll usually have to modify it a little bit as we get more data and update the model before we actually submit the plan. So we have the most recent numbers for it. But this is the official kickoff, and so we have to provide data to Bosca and their consultants on May 16th. Will be the first round, and then we'll get some feedback, and so the next couple years will be a lot of preparation and consultants, and we don't even have the guidance yet from DWR. They usually put out a guidance book of what's going to be required, and there's still legislation being passed that will probably modify what's going to be required in it. So you have a question?
Yeah, the 16th, you have to provide May 16th,
Yeah, May 16th is the first.
which you have available easily to provide to them, I assume. The data you have to provide.
Yes, with help from a lot of people. Mary's helped me out.
We have here
yeah.
at the district. the
Yeah, it's
data
just our,
that
like,
we will be-
consumption, production,
we-
they want sewer rates
No, I understand.
from
we-
the
This is
two
not the
different
data
sewer
that
agencies.
we will need help to provide from outside waters eventually.
Well, there is some, Bosca, so part of the consultant group has experts like,
Okay.
so weather data, they're
Mhm.
gonna help us with some weather data, the information about jobs, growth, all that, yeah, so it,
But at some point in this process, though, when we do these plans, we get help from other outside agencies,
Yes.
consultants.
consultants, yes, we usually hire,
I'm just
yeah,
trying to get to
yeah.
the forward. So we will be looking to hire some folks
Mhm.
to participate in helping us to prepare this pretty massive plan as we usually have.
Yeah, in the past, we've used West Yost
Right?
to help us put the plan together and complete the tables and
Okay,
do the reporting to DWR.
so we'll be seeing that next fiscal year. like,
Yes, yeah.
Okay, just check.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll just follow going in reverse order, so,
sounds great.
Mr. Durbin, are you willing to go second?
Play along.
All right, you were going to be second anyway.
Right. But I didn't know what was going to happen next.
Position hasn't changed.
Suspense was killing me. Evening board members. April's been a month of great achievement for the district, and I'll describe some of those things. 7 hydrants got replaced. We got 44 hydrants replaced in the fiscal year to date.
Wow.
Installed a new 2-inch PRV bypass on the Santiago Ventura PRV station. Installed 150 new meter heads and MTUs to fire services. Still have 300 to go, but we're getting there. And Sean Donovan passed his D4 exam. Very proud of him. Ryan Stoll passed his D2.
Yay.
And Frank Lozano passed his D3. So we're all feeling good about that. Jack Whelan also passed his backflow tester, which is a 2-part written exam and a hands-on, and is not a fun test at all. It's one of my least favorite exams I've ever taken, especially the hands-on. Having someone watch you do something and you got 2 chances to do it right, or you fail and have to come back. It's very stressful, but Jack handled it just fine. I don't think he even had to go at it a second time, so we're real proud of Jack as well. Denniston Water Treatment Plant ran at 900 gallons a minute from 4:13 to 5:1. What interrupted us was a failed VFD, and this all started with Dave Dixon asking myself and the treatment staff to figure out how we could exercise our 2 CFS water right on the Denniston Creek. And I have to admit, Sean and Todd and I were not sure we were going to be able to do it, but we all agreed we would try. And I think it was a great experience for the treatment staff to push the plant to see what we could do. I think there was a concept that historically we were limited to 650, 700 was kind of the idea. And as we really looked at the capacity of the plant and tried it, we achieved 900, which is the full 2 CFS. There's a lot of things that we learned in the process, which is very important. And we also understand that depending on turbidity and weather, how we're going to have to operate is going to change depending on the turbidity coming to the plant and other factors. So we found some bottlenecks in terms of solids handling, the CCs, the contact clarifiers, and the filter capacity. We found out that our wash water return pump maxes out at 60, so if we're running at 900, we can't get the full 90 gallons a minute running through the plant of recycled water. Intakes sometimes are a limiting factor. And also balancing with Nunez when we really need a little more than 900 and we start to fill up, or vice versa, having to shut down Nunez or turn Nunez down to 300. And I think we shut down Nunez twice in the last couple of weeks, 4 times, which is also an experience for us. So I think we learned a lot, and my hat really goes off to the treatment staff for following through and really making things happen. They did not even blink an eye, they just went for it. Distribution guys were definitely shaking their heads like, oh boy, you guys are really going to do this. So I'm real proud of the treatment staff and what they've achieved, and we've learned a lot. So just this last week, 800 gallons a minute is what we've been limited to with 1 VFD acting a little funny, but I think we got that worked out through some slides today. And we're looking to see if we're going to replace the other VFD that was failed. So Denniston Reservoir and the wells produced water in April, as well as Pillarcitos Lake. We'll be starting the Bell Moon Pipeline project any day now, hopefully next week. Casa del Mar and Ferdinand, as you know, just got approved. We're working with Packport Consulting Group on the Alves. We're just had comments in for the 95% specs and plans, and we should have the 100% plans ready by the end of May. And the Denniston Tank Pax Mixer was installed as well. Get a lot done. If you have any questions, I'm here, your pleasure.
Wow. Do you want to tell our customers what a BFD is?
A VFD, variable frequency drive. BFD, you can tell us what that is. But April's full
So
of them.
which is it that failed at Denniston?
There was 1 VFD, VFD2 on pump 2 of the raw water pumps. What was it, a relay in the back? There's a contactor in the back, it failed. We were looking at replacing that contactor, but we were wanting to maximize our production and figured just replace it, and then we'll see if we can get it fixed later. Because we're making so much money on a daily basis running at that flow rate.
Right?
Sean, is there anything you want to add? Okay, thanks for coming.
Great.
What's the horsepower?
Those are 50s. 75s on the raw, 50s on the finished.
Great.
Yeah, we love hearing Dennis in production. It's,
We project running this to the end of June at this level, we think, at this point?
It depends on Leia's needs for water and the
Yeah,
weather.
he's
We're getting
behind
going.
in planting, right, this year? But,
I believe so.
yeah.
Well, we'll see. I mean, we're gonna get a little rain too, so, you
A
know.
lot of rain, all the way through next week.
And like Dave said, we have great aspirations for Denniston.
Yeah, it's great. No.
Well done.
Finally
And if you could
flying.
express our accolades to
To the
the
staff.
guys who all passed and did their exam. That, I know those exams quite well, and my hat's off to them.
Thank you, much appreciated. I'll extend
Yeah,
that to
the board
them.
is-
Well, and Sean is here. Sean, congratulations on the D4 exam. How long have you worked with the district? 24 years. 24 years, fantastic. You've done a great job. Great
Pretty
to
soon
see,
he'll be our longest tenured employee.
great to see you step
July
up to the plate.
13th, right?
He doesn't look old enough to be here for that long.
Started when he
Congratulations.
was 5 years old. I'd like to just add my thanks to the treatment staff, Sean, and, I mean, what they did in running the Denniston treatment plant, it pedal to the metal for, until that VFD failed. It was an amazing thing, and it's what we need to do, what we have needed to do since 1969 to perfect our
Right.
2 CFS
Right, I
water
was gonna
right
say, that's the
permit
magic number.
on Denniston Creek. 900 gallons a minute is 2 CFS. We're not,
For how long a period, what's it take to?
well, our instantaneous maximum diversion rate will be set based on the rate we're able to achieve over 1 month time.
Over 1 month, okay.
So had we been able to go
We could have done
another week, if the VFD hadn't failed, we might have
Done it.
established our 2 CFS maximum on Denniston Creek for the water rights permit. We'd have accomplished this month, what we anticipate having until 2026 to do. The other number we need to hit is the maximum annual diversion. And so, similar.
What's that number?
Well, it's whatever number we.
It's whatever we can
it's
achieve.
2 CFS for a year. So it's, and that will be the maximum diversion we're allowed. And I'm talking just about the water rights, not about Fish and Wildlife and all those folks, but just in terms of the perfecting our water rights. So this is, it really is a very,
2 CFM.
to run that plant
I remember
at
that number. Yeah.
that rate for that long
Right.
is a very significant accomplishment, and I think shows the kind of skill that our
Right.
treatment staff has.
And the water tastes good, too.
Yeah.
And it really
So,
justifies the quote investment that we made
Yeah.
in doing that, which was not a modest investment, but as it turns out, really very, very worthwhile. And
we've come a long way since the day when the pipe burst and Sean saved John Davis's life. So that was the plant was a real horror show. It's gone from that. to-
oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's a
Good
very
work.
significant
Yeah,
change
good.
over.
Great.
And you can
That's
still
exciting.
do something for $8 or $10 million.
So
Yeah,
there may be hope for San Vicente after.
that'll be a story for another day.
And another manager.
And another manager.
Well, congratulations on the newest race, the CCWD 900. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you for your report. Mary, thanks so much for your patience.
Oh, no problem.
Could we have your assistant general manager's report, please?
Well, at the last board meeting, Director Reynolds brought up the water tax bill that Governor Newsom put forth. And also, Director Feldman mentioned that obviously the water tax was a very hot topic at Aqua last week. In 2012, the legislators in Sacramento passed the Human Right to Water Act, and so Governor Newsom wants this year to be the year where something is passed on providing a fund to help the 300-plus water systems that still do not meet water quality requirements, and also to help those who can't afford to have safe drinking water in California. So that being said, he's put forth this water tax bill, where he would you have a graduated tax, which we, as a water utility, would be responsible for collecting from our customers, but it would be 95 cents per month for a 5/8 meter, and it goes up from there in terms of your size of meter. The bill actually also, in looking at the fine print, it provides that the fee can be adjusted annually depending on the need of, for the fund. And then also in terms of the fund has very, broad aspirations. Not only covers, could cover operations and maintenance costs for these, non-compliant plants, but it could, consolidation costs. They want, the big thing is they want these districts to consolidate, but also in terms of capital costs as well. So it's kind of the bill is kind of an open book of what could be covered. There are many other, bills out there that many of our legislators are putting forth. One that's out there is very similar to Newsom's trailer is this AB 217, Garcia's bill, which actually has very similar types of clauses, or one of the things, and which also Newsom's bill is also targeting too, is collecting fees on fertilizer handlers and ag folks and confined animals, and so there's a long list of fees as well. So anyway, but his bill is instead of having the utilities go out and collect the taxes, he just wants to collect from the utility 50 cents a connection. So Aqua is very vocal, and they were promoting this SB 669 that Director Feldman mentioned, and basically that bill is the bill is set up to create a safe water drinking fund trust. What is proposed is to take money out of the surplus, the general fund, to the tune of about $1.3 billion. The fund then proceeds, the investment proceeds would then be used to fund ongoing operations and maintenance costs of these water systems that can't perform, and consolidation costs as well. So the idea is that it would be sustainable, if those proceeds would cover these costs. So the one thing that Aqua, what they did not include, which is included in the other bills, is the funding of private wells and small water systems under 15 connections. Those are the governor's bill and the Garcia bill. They want to send money the direction to fix private systems, and Aqua is against that, and they are they're saying that should be handled in another way, not through this fund. So so that's those are the big issues. They're obviously asking for all the support of the water agencies. I will say at the lunch that you missed on Thursday, Wade Crowfoot was the speaker, and he put a plug in for the water tax at I won't say huge boos, but obviously not in the favor of
So in
people.
what form are they asking for our support? I mean, written letters, or is it, are
They
we at
do.
that point now?
Well, they do have, they were, sending around, there were some materials. I didn't include all the materials in this package, but they do have some sample letters and some sample resolution if you wanted to do something as a board. So that, those are, options.
Well, do we do it as a board or as a district for Aqua? Because it's an agency, so how would they?
As an agency,
As an
I think you
agency, so we
can
should try and find out what.
add our voice to
Yeah, add our
the.
voice,
Yeah.
so do whatever, I
Chorus.
mean, Can we get that somehow put together and sent? I don't know, whatever.
Well, we
have to vote on it, or
We're
we-
tracking and we'll respond
Okay.
to the Aqua.
When they ask for a response
Right.
or support.
Yeah, and if they need people, bodies, depending on my calendar, I'd be willing to go to Sacramento on this one. I feel really strongly that the proposal, I know the group that wrote Newsom's budget proposal, and your concept of your words of an open checkbook is about as accurate as I've seen, and it's the problem with it that is, and what people should really understand is that there's hundreds of millions of dollars sitting in the state fund for capital improvement for disadvantaged communities. It's free money. The problem is that federally funded program, which is administered here, the section, the money we have is administered here in California. That program does not fund capital and ongoing operating expense. And so when they wrote this, they kind of said, oh, we're really limited on how we can use the state revolving fund money. Let's come up with a program that is not restricted. And I'm really concerned that taxing our clients to pay for water in an unrestricted plan is a real burden to our community that gives them no representation, no control how that funding is paid for, no ability to vote on it, and I'm very uncomfortable about it.
So, the Aqua bill, is the money supposed to come from the rainy day fund? Is that the idea?
Well, it says the general fund, the surplus.
Doesn't say.
Yeah, so that is the rainy day
Yeah.
fund. And I hope everybody understands that the rainy day fund, it represents not even 10% of the state's budget. And every time the economy goes down, we lose 10% almost instantaneously in tax revenues. So every time that happens, the state goes into the red. And that's why the rainy day fund is there. So, if people look at that as, well, that's just money that's not being spent, we're just creating another problem. And, you could say, I guess, that, well, if we don't do anything, we're right where we're at right now, but there's a real need out there. So, I think the taxing wealthy districts for poor ones, is always a poor idea. But on the other hand, if you look at California tax law, it's a disaster. I mean, people just don't think through the consequences. And this kind of complexity is the result of that. I mean, the fact is that the state is trying to level out. I mean, when the economy goes down, you need state and local government to be able to continue spending. You can't just stop doing things because you don't have the tax revenues for it. But that's the situation we've been in the past. And the rainy day fund is an attempt to avoid that in the future.
Does this, I'm not sure how big the fund is. They're talking about 1.2 billion they need to take to do this, to get enough money to pay. That's not the entire general fund, and it's not the entire surplus, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
They're not looking for the whole thing. They're all looking for
No, they're looking for a piece of
a
it.
piece of it. Well, a piece that would be well spent on these needs that other people have. And sure, there may be tough times too, but I'm not sure the right way, as he says, is to give them an open checkbook to tax us as they choose to see fit. And that's something we have no say in really or control of. Particularly,
But that's what happens with taxes, right? I mean,
it doesn't seem like we're hurting at
people-
this point either.
We
I
have
mean,
a legislature that
Yeah, I
decides how the
understand.
money should be spent, and if you don't like it, vote for different
Well,
people.
this is an option on the table that they put forward, along with a couple of others, and we'll see where it goes. It's an option that should be considered amongst the other options, and who knows where it'll go. But ACT was definitely supportive, as although how many, 450 ACWA agencies, I would expect, who are all on this bandwagon right now. A lot of people affected by it.
Yeah, earlier, well, I, for one, was certainly proud of the fact that we're only raising our rates, 4% this year. Right out of the box, this is another percent. So we're at 5. And this is only the beginning. I mean, as it's been clearly stated here, this is an open checkbook. So 4 to 5 with unknown potential down the road.
They mentioned much bigger numbers.
Yeah, so this
Yeah,
is,
the 95 cents a month is the kind of
Up to
the
10.
low.
it's only the beginning.
Introductory rate.
Yeah,
Six-month introductory
introductory
rate.
teaser rate.
It says
No
up to
way-
$10 a month in the
Yeah,
instance
no,
thing.
I'm not gonna subject our customers to this. I mean, I personally am not.
And they don't address the administrative interesting problems of us collecting taxes from people and then getting them to, it's like sales tax.
There'll be a
I mean,
whole
we're
new
not in-
bureaucracy will be created
We're
too.
not in
yeah,
the business
yeah.
of sales tax collection. I
Yeah.
mean, this is what it
Yeah.
is in a sense.
The sad part is that there's a lot of political momentum behind the water tax bill.
Oh, yeah, I'm
It's their
sure there is.
second attempt at it. Aqua's fighting a real uphill battle.
Yep.
In trying to carve out a chunk of the general fund for this instead of.
It's worth trying.
But should we ask staff to bring back a letter or a resolution for us?
Absolutely. Yeah.
We
Next
ask
meeting,
staff
and
to
then-
do what's ever appropriate, that you commit to doing what's appropriate as required when you have the information you need to be able to do it.
And I think in deference to Jim's comment, that I think our strongest issue is that, or for me, is the water tax seems really flawed. And I don't know enough about the ACWA-sponsored one to say that's a great plan. But I've read through what's been presented, and I was appalled that it just, oh,
We're a rich target, yeah.
yeah.
Okay?
So thank you for this presentation. I asked for it, and I think you've
got
done
it.
a
You
got
really
it.
good job, and I think it's good information that we needed to know early on so that we could track it and monitor it, and you've done a good job, so thank you.
And do you have more in your report?
No,
Or
that's
you
it.
wrapped it up? Okay, thank you very much. Director agenda items, requests for future board
Oh,
meetings.
yeah, no, I understand.
Does anyone have one?
October 15th.
You what?
I want one on October.
We're having that already. Well, I personally have an item that I would like to bring up, and that is, Glenn Reynolds suggested that we possibly want to pull out our vision findings. And one of the things that I found very interesting in pulling my copy up and reading it was that we gave some pretty clear communication about what we thought we were interested in as a group. And one of the things I thought was interesting was adopt a 10-year water use plan and vision, develop and adopt policies and procedures regarding water recycling. So we came up with, I think, some pretty important ideas in that meeting, and they have just kind of been laying around for 2 years. So I would like to either put it on the agenda, or I would like to appoint an advisory committee of 2 people to pull this out, talk about it, come back to the board and make a report about what we might do about utilizing. We've spent a lot of time, energy, and money on it. We haven't done a thing. The most interesting one for me was we had priorities mentioned during the interviews. And the second one was hire a new general manager. Well, that's been sitting around for 2 years. So I don't know, maybe there are some really important things we discussed and thought we should be working on that we ought to pull out of the bed and wake up.
I'd be willing to be on a committee to work on that.
Okay?
And I think there's value to committeeing it before we bring the whole board to it, if that makes sense to the rest of the team.
Anybody else like to jump on that?
Why don't you jump?
I'll do it with
Because
you.
you're the one who's,
All right?
no, that's good.
Yeah,
You
be
have a
happy to do
definite
it.
view of the
So
Was-
can I appoint myself on a advisory committee?
advisory committee.
And we, this is a committee where it's not a standing committee, so we have these other capacities, right? And I think we should get together soon and start that. So that's all I'm allowed to
Speaking
say.
of
at this particular
Vision meetings.
juncture.
Dave, were you?
Sorry?
What are you going to call the committee?
We're going to be the
Strategic vision?
Strategic Planning Committee. Is that a good one?
That's really good.
Is that good?
Yeah.
We're the Strategic Planning Committee. Do you
Was-
like that? Let's talk to our attorney.
What exactly are you looking at? What is this document?
Oh, it was a planning session. We had a
Our
vision.
strategic planning session.
Strategic planning session.
May of what, 17.
Yeah.
When was it?
March of 17.
March?
It was March, yeah.
Was our discussion about a session for water, the future of water here, involved in this at all too? Or is that
Yes.
separate?
It
I think
is.
that's
No,
what
it was in that
came out of
planning
this
session.
discussion.
But are we going to do that too? That was a separate meeting that the general manager was going to try and get for us in the next few months.
We can still have that.
Yeah, no, I'm just
Because-
asking if that's one of
Because
the...
7 votes were make decisions regarding reclamation and recycling of water.
Water features.
Yeah.
Adopt a 10-year water use plan and vision. Better coordination of water supply with local coastal plans. Hire a new general manager. Some
Well, I'm
pretty
not talking the
incredible
water
stuff.
futures.
Yeah.
So is it possible to consider, you're still going to work that for us. Maybe this little group can
Little group, what are you calling us? a little group?
can
strategic.
get
I'm not
together
strategic.
and be involved
I'm
with
not
you as
that
you-
little, first of all.
These guys.
Oh,
See, you know what I
you
mean.
mean the quality group?
Yeah,
Is
the
that what
quality.
you're basically?
No, you guys.
Okay.
Strategic
I
Planning
think we
Committee.
better bang the gavel.
Yeah,
I
getting
got
into
it.
the weeds here.
A little means small.
Ken bang the
Okay.
gavel.
Two people.
So we're there, right?
Yep.
So it's
Good
my
idea.
pleasure to adjourn the Coastside County Water District Board of Directors meeting of May 14th, 2019 at 8:08
Oh, that was good.
PM.
Jesus. Oh, we did, that's great.
We're done?
Yeah.